How to stop missing approach shots.
One of the most frustrating things in tennis is when you do all the hard work to earn the short ball, and then you have full control of the point, but you miss the shot, the easiest shot in the rally, and then you lose the point. I used to miss a lot of approach shots when I was younger, but now that I think about the approach shot in the right way, I barely ever miss approach shots. Here's some common errors for the approach shot, and here are the solutions to those problems. The first error people make on approach shots is they hit the ball too long. They overplay this shot. There's something very important to understand about approach shots is that we are hitting this ball inside the baseline. So the regular trajectory you hit for your shot behind the baseline is going to have to change when you're inside the court hitting an approach shot. We're now much closer to the baseline and we're much closer to the net. So the key with the approach shot is you have to aim a little bit shorter than what you normally do, and you have to aim with a little bit lower net clearance. If you normally hit 4 to 8 feet over the net from the baseline, now we got to aim a little bit closer to like 1 to 4 feet or something like that. But I'm basically aiming for a target shorter in the court, a little bit lower and shorter than what I normally do from the baseline. Another common mistake is hitting the approach shot into the net. The reason this happens is because I'm now a little bit closer to the net than I normally would be. The net's an earlier obstacle than it would be for the baseline. So in order to be able to hit over the net, but to be able to still land the ball inside the baseline, I'm going to have to hit this shot with more spin and with more racketed speed than I normally would. For players that hit with a lot of racketed speed and topspin from the baseline, this isn't going to be a very hard adjustment, but for players that hit flatter, you're now going to need to add a little bit more shape, a little bit more spin to your ball. This is because, especially when the ball is low, I need to be able to lift up the ball to get it over the net, but I still need to be able to keep it inside the baseline, which is now a little bit closer to me. So I need to be able to hit the ball at a high enough angle to get it over the net, but I need enough topspin to bring the ball back down hard so I can keep it inside the baseline while keeping up the pace of my shot. If I hit the ball slow, I can lob it over the net and get it inside the baseline, but it's not going to be an effective approach shot because the opponent's going to have time to get it. So in order to hit this ball fast, but to still be able to create the shape over the net and to get the ball to dip inside the baseline, I have to use a lot of racketed speed, and my concentration is getting spin on the ball. So when I'm hitting an approach shot, especially if it's low, kind of by my knee height, so I got to pick it up over the net and get it inside the baseline, I want to use a lot of racketed speed to lift the ball and spin it up over the net and keep enough rotations on the ball that it can still curve inside the baseline. There, I'm using a lot of my racketed speed, not for power, but for spin. I'm picking the ball up and spinning the ball back down inside the baseline. The third most common error that people make on the approach shot is missing the approach shot wide. The reason this usually happens is because people are going for too much on their approach shot. They're going for too much risk. They're trying to hit a winner on this first ball rather than just playing a high quality shot into the open court. You need to keep in mind on the approach shot that your primary goal isn't to hit a winner. It's just to hit the ball into the open court and hit a high quality enough ball that it puts the opponent on defense. It puts them on the stretch. Then I can use that ball to follow it into the net, and now I can put the point away with a volley or an overhead. So make sure you don't aim too close to the sideline on your approach shot because that's too risky. You give yourself too much chance of making an error and then you lose the point and all your hard work goes to waste. So aim for a safe enough target with enough margin and enough distance inside the sideline. And if you hit a high quality approach shot, even if the opponent gets it back, I'm now still in control of the point and I'm in a great situation to now finish the ball with a volley or overhead. Those are the 3 fixes to the most common errors that people make on approach shots. Just for a few bonus tips, you want to keep in mind the height of the ball when you're going for the approach shot. In general, you want to be taking the approach shot from almost as high of a point as possible. So for example, I'd rather take a forehand from up here than I'd rather take an approach shot from down here by my knees. If the ball is a little bit higher up in the air when you're doing the approach shot, this is a sign that you can now hit the ball a little bit flatter. This is because it's easier now to get a more favorable angle over the net and inside the baseline. I can go a little bit flatter through the ball without taking as much risk. When the ball's a little bit lower, it's not a problem per se, but like I mentioned earlier in the video, now I have to use my racket to create more spin so I can now curve it over the net and still curve it inside the baseline. Another option you can consider on an approach shot when the ball is low is you don't necessarily need to go for a topspin approach shot at all. You can go for a drop shot or a slice approach shot. And depending on the situation, I can go for a drop shot, or I can go for a deep slice, and that still puts me in a very, very favorable position to follow that ball into the net because it keeps the ball very low for the opponent. If I go for a deep slice, it's going to be very difficult for the opponent to hit a passing shot kind of like by their knees or below, or if I hit a drop shot, now they're running inside the court, and they're going to have to scoop the ball back up to me where now I'm at the net and I'm in control of the point with a volley or an overhead. So if we have a ball that sits up in the air on the approach shot, that's ideal. I can drive a little bit more flat through the ball for power, but if the ball goes low, I need to use topspin, a lot more topspin if I'm going for a topspin approach shot, or there's nothing wrong with using a drop shot or a slice to then follow it into the net because the opponent's going to have to lift the ball back up in the air to me. So those are my tips on how to better hit the approach shot. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this was a shot I really lacked confidence on in the beginning of my career. I just didn't trust myself to go for the ball, to go for an offensive shot without risking making an error. But now that I understand the shot better and I have a clearer idea of what I'm trying to do with this shot and what sort of obstacles I'm dealing with, I'm able to play this area in my game a lot more effectively without even dramatically improving my skill level overall as a player, just by understanding the shot better and knowing what I need to do, what I need to create with this ball. I'm able to be much more effective and have much better results with this shot. So those are my tips that have really helped me in my career, and they've helped a lot of the students that I teach on more effectively and more consistently hitting the approach shot. If you have any advice for yourself that has really helped improve your approach shot over the years, please put it down in the comments. We'd all be very interested to hear what that is. And as always, thanks for watching the video and stay tuned for more.